What's up, guys? What's going on? What's your day been like? Back to streaming. Today, I've I don't I think it's 65 or 66. We've been lifting for quite a while now, and it's been a journey back to the iron to the barbells to the weights, and you know I'm very glad to finally be back lifting, be active. It feels so good. I love lifting so much, and I don't enjoy lifting that early, waking up early, but I do enjoy being there as soon as I get there. And every time I do lift, it's fun. I think it's very nice to have the outlet of lifting, especially when you know what you're doing. You know what it is that you're looking for, you're aiming for. It feels very gratifying to do it day in and day out, and it's just something that I think is hard to replace by doing other things. I mean, you could obviously do other sports. You could do lift or not lifting, cardio. You know, lots of other intermediate stuff. But I feel like, given that you're not somebody who is a professional athlete, I think that if you're just somebody that's normal, or you're somebody that isn't very good at sports, like myself, lifting is a very nice thing to have for yourself, for you to work on, to improve, to get better, because the better you get at lifting, the more proficient you get. Given that you're maintaining a sufficient diet, you'll start to see the changes reflected in your training in the mirror. And I think that that's something that is very important, and we shouldn't get overly concentrated on it. To me, I've always seen training and the love for training come when I didn't focus on how I looked. You know, and I think it's something that's common nowadays, where we focus so much on a look, how we look, training to look good. Because everybody wants to look fit, everybody wants to look a certain way, but in reality, I think we've fallen out of love with training in a way. A lot of people, they overcomplicate things. They don't do enough. They don't really care about training that much. They don't put in that much effort. There's a lot of things that I believe people get wrong with training. In my opinion, the biggest one is just simply not having a good love for training. And I don't know, man. Like, even as far as when I started, which is not that far, 2016, I've always just felt like you're gonna do it because you really loved it. It was popular and it was coming up then. But like, if you were lifting, you really liked to lift, even if you wanted to be in shape. Like, you really enjoyed being in the gym. And I think it's just something that's taken for granted now. Like, a lot of people just don't even enjoy lifting. People can be really in shape, and they don't really enjoy being in the gym. And I think it's unfortunate, because being in the gym is a beautiful thing. It's something that's fun. It's something that you know basically find out who you are in the gym to a certain degree when you lift. And I'm not saying that this is a true testament of character, because I think that you can manufacture some level of intensity and going hard, and not be in other places. But there's a certain level of grit and will that you need to get into the gym and do what you need to do, day in and day out. And I think that it can help you build that, but I don't think it's everything. And it shouldn't be everything. I think lifting is what it is, what it should be, and it should be no more and no less than that, right? You should put in effort. You should try. You should, want to care about your health. And I think this is something that has kind of irked me recently, which is, it's such a all in or not culture right now with lifting. Like, you're either going to the gym a lot, doing all this, or you're just not. You just don't care about, you know, your health. And there's a certain, I don't know if it's culture or group of people that they just kind of cope, and they don't, try. They don't care and they don't want to care. And they say that it's too much work. But listen, your health is important. And I'm not just saying this as somebody who's never worked, before. When I was working, 12 hours a day every week, 4 or 5 days, 3, 4, 5 days, depending. I always found a way to make it happen. If I was working 3 days, I would lift four, worked four, lift three. There was a period where I lifted six, but as far as it goes, I think you don't have to be in the gym 6 days a week to make progress. You don't even have to be in the gym five. You could be in the gym as little as two and three and make really good progress. Doing full body, um, and just getting in there, being in an hour, and supersetting stuff, keeping it high intensity, and working on yourself. And this leads me into another thing that really makes me kind of angry with the scientists and the people that regurgitate science, which is the optimal way to train and frequency and all this stuff, because it leaves people less informed in a state of feeling like if they're not being optimal, they're not going to make gains. But being optimal is very subjective, especially recently within scientific principles. Like, I don't think that anything can be really set in stone for fitness, because it's all very personal. And even if people believe it to be fact, I believe that it could be wildly different for just about anybody, really. Like, I think that it's something that, it kind of makes me mad when people like just, I understand science being this very respected thing in these other fields, and like, you know, certain areas it's just factual. But I think fitness is one of those things where there are a good amount of base factors that I believe to be true. Certain things that are indisputable, but then there are things that I believe that, as much as the science is going to sit here and tell you that this is fact and that this is true, I think that you have to sit here and try it out for yourself. I think that it's important to try things for yourself, even if the science says otherwise, like, in doing things that aren't optimal. I don't train always optimal to the science, and I don't really give a fuck about doing it because I don't care what's optimal. I care about what I enjoy, and I know what I'm doing is good, and it's going to get me a lot of gains. I don't believe in optimal science based training to the fullest degree. Obviously, I support it, and I do follow stuff that ends up being science based, but I don't initially start doing it because it's science based. I do it because it feels good to me, and because I've tried it, and because I've done a lot of stuff within my own fitness journey to understand that, hey, this works for me. I like these machines. I like this. The one thing that really irks me is when people feel like they can't do this because it's not optimal. They can't train this way. They can't eat this way. They feel like they have to eat chicken, broccoli, and asparagus, every meal. And it's just sad, bro. Like, being completely optimal, even if, let's say, it was fact and everything that the scientists are saying is true about being optimal, that would still only net you 5%, maybe. The rest of it would just be down to training hard, training with a good range of motion and certain things. But like, you know, I don't think being optimal would add much, if much at all. And it doesn't really matter for the normal person. Like, for the normal person, for the average person that just wants to get in shape, like, all you need to do is do what you enjoy, do what you like, do things that are going to challenge you, and maybe do some stuff that you don't like, maybe do some stuff that isn't your favorite, but that's not going to hurt you, right? I think that that will net you the most gains over a long period of time, rather than doing this science-based optimal shit that they try to sell you, which most of the time, let's be honest, like people that do optimal stuff, they're not very big. Like, and I don't mean to be that guy, because it's been such a moot point, but like lots of the people aren't that big. And I know we like to sit here and say, well, the bodybuilders are only that big because they're on juice. A lot of them were really big naturally. Lots of enhanced lifters train for at least 5 years natural. And, they made a lot of gains. And can you credit that to genetics? Sure, but a lot of them just put in so much effort that it was hard not to grow. And I think that there's something there that we can learn from when it comes to enhanced bodybuilders. Like you just have to work so hard that, regardless of what you're doing, you're going to grow and be smart about it, really. Don't train like an idiot. Don't periodize like an idiot. Just work smart and work hard. You know, don't do too much in one direction, and just focus on just doing what you feel is best and you'll grow. And that really, led me to another topic because I'm eating chicken and rice and eggs. And that is, we don't need to be eating the leanest sources of protein. And this is one thing that's really made me mad because I feel like it has trickled down from the world of bodybuilding where you see bodybuilders eating the leanest cuts of meat, boneless, skinless chicken breast, trimmed fat, 96.4 lean ground beef, strained, asparagus, very low fat, trace fats almost only. And it really makes me mad because 99% of people, even bodybuilders that are in prep or aren't in prep, don't need to be eating, the leanest cuts of meat. You can eat chicken thighs. You can eat 90. The lowest I would go for ground beef is like 90-10. I think 80-15 is just too sloppy. 90-10 ground beef, top sirloin steaks trimmed, stuff that has 6 to 10 grams of fat per 4 ounce serving, stuff that's not overly fatty, but it has fat, you can and you should be eating stuff like that over, boneless, skinless, chicken breasts and 96.4 ground beef because it's just more sustainable, and you could obviously go into the realm of, doing fitness recipes and having all these things, but to me, that's not really that sustainable either. You miss a lot of key micronutrients, but it's also just time consuming. I think that there are things within that realm that you can, automate into your diet to make it, funner and make you more, likely to stick to your diet, Ninja Creamy recipes, certain foods that you can make with these fitness cookbooks, but I believe that the large majority of your diet should be, good meats, with fat on them, salmon, boneless, skinless chicken thighs, top sirloin steak, trimmed, eggs, carbohydrates. You should be eating lots of fruits, pineapple, kiwi, berries. You should be eating yogurts for your calcium, your choline, stuff like that. Whole fat eggs, right? 3 to 6 whole eggs a day. Potatoes, what else? Spinach, bell peppers, cheese. This is all stuff that I ate on my diet before when I looked my best, and I think that that's stuff that's really underrated. We try to push this healthy, sustainable way of flex dieting or, fitness, cookbook shit, but it's like the basics work for a reason and the basics are going to make you healthy, and you shouldn't be eating glamorous all the time anyway, like there's ways to cook chicken breast, to cook steak. You're eating these fruits, they're great foods that taste good and they're good for your body and you should be eating them, and to be honest, like if you don't like them, there might be a little bit wrong with your taste buds because they're really good and they're really good for you. And I know I went on a huge tangent and a rant in the videos about the videos ending and we're in black screen, but I'm really passionate about fitness, about training, about food, and I just want to make sure that people are realizing that there's not only one way. There are multiple ways, and they will all get you to where you're looking to go. I don't believe in a complete optimal way of training, a complete optimal way of eating. I think it's full of shit. You know, if you enjoy what you're going to do, compliance is the biggest key, and you should do it to the fullest. And if that makes you happy, if it's getting you results, then just keep doing it, you know, and I hope that you succeed, you know. But if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 66.